Health, wealth, family, freedom, flow, receiving. These are part of the things that are the priorities, the values, the shifts that are happening right now. Health, right up there. After this recent illness, this we would traditionally call it lung infection, coughing up, burning, fever, incapacitated, not able to support, a little delirious at times, so much sputum, sleeplessness, worry about infection risk, and clearing, recognizing how important health is. And part of it is both what's being added and what's being taken away. So part of it is sunshine, water, magnetism, getting out in the sunshine as much as possible, especially early morning. Water, drinking really good quality water, taking a look at the water sources, taking a look at the deuterium depleted water, taking a look at amazing natural spring water. Magnetism, where on the earth living, grounding into the earth, grounding into probably more volcanic magma-ish areas, and upcoming is possibly Hawaii. So health first, because with health, I can sometimes take it for granted and forget about it, and then not forget that I'm indulging, whether it's in the food, whether it's in being in an EMF dense environment, whether it's screens, things like that. And then it becomes such a reminder when everything else falls away because health takes over. Wealth. I had been avoiding wealth for such a long time, wealth generation, really looking at the flow of money, money models, really owning that I loved or was addicted to the spending sometimes and scared of the income because I wanted to be able to be free, but I didn't want to have to think about all those hard adult things. And now I'm like, no, own the things that I see. Okay, Bitcoin Orange, you really see it? Then really own it. Keep diving into it in the ways that are enriching, not just the ways that are reinforcing, enriching, while also holding it so lightly that if the thesis completely changes, breathing into it and taking the time to shift the actions behind the thesis. And right now, really stepping into it more and more. Also stepping into how to do the bookkeeping, the business, the taxes, everything else, to make sure you're setting self up for future viability. And then really owning the business. There's a part that I was like, oh, how do we just shortcut it? How do we find a different way to get a shortcut for money, or to really scale it, or not have to do this or that? And right now it's like, no, demonstrate the model that I want to work, and then scale the model that's working in a way that's sustainable while working through the challenges that are there. And there are challenges in terms of having the team, the generalists, having the flow, prioritizing where the flow of things go, while also being the playful, mischievous self that knows that some things that may not make the most quote-unquote business sense, as long as I'm being as open and transparent with my team being both my family and my business founder, then we can see what's going on. Health, wealth, family. So family. So one of the big things that's happened is prioritizing family, in the sense that, am I willing to show up in the room with family when family wants to show up in the room with me? And the overwhelming answer that I have demonstrated to myself is yes. We just went on a trip with my beloved, my son, and my in-laws to Hong Kong, where we saw so much family, and it was so rejuvenating, healthy in terms of the family aspect, not in terms of the city, EMF, and all that stuff aspect. And then going back to Prince Edward Island for my parents' 50th vow renewal, and being with family there, and over again stepping into that container. And then before that, having family come visit, sponsoring family, paying for family, and just noticing, okay, I'm totally willing to do that because family matters. And that's, you know, if we're earning and we have the assets, we choose to invest it in the family, in the ohana, in the ones that are really close. And how do I not grasp, cling to, constrain those closest, rather choose deliberately and tell them over and over again, I love you, I believe in you, I think you're brilliant, I want to spend more time with you and your family, let's create that if that feels really good, and let's say no if it doesn't feel good, and it's okay either way. And how do we do it longitudinally? We started off with some friends where we spent a week with them. Then we spent almost over a month with another family member, and that's what I want to keep doing, is having real, meaningful time together, and that matters. Okay, so family. And family also means that my immediate family, my parents, my brother, reminding them over and over again, I'm happy to spend more time with you. And I don't need to. And when we do, I want to make it meaningful. So health, wealth, family, freedom. Freedom, so important. Noticing the parts, it's so easy to have the idea that there's so many negative actors, that there's so many constraints. And one of the things I realize is that we all get to play by our own set of rules. My rules are different than your rules. There's overlaps, there's similarities, but when I'm trying to impose my rules on you, or allowing you to impose your rules on me, that's when we find we get ourselves in trouble. I get myself in trouble. And it's like playing Calvin ball. I get to keep noticing, making up rules, playing with rules, and I've always liked that. Like, these rules aren't static. And so I'm gonna keep playing with the rules, and in that freedom, rediscovering myself. The constraints really that I can work with are the ones within, and those are the ones that are most challenging. So let's work with those rather than focus on so many of the external ones. And at the same time, notice the external ones are a reflection. How do I play with them? How do I honor them? How do I practice shifting the environment sometimes, because that will shift the inside? And that's part of it with the traveling recently, especially to different cultures, different continents, different cities, is there was such a profound change in self and family because we were finding a different level of freedom and a different set of stories to work with. And flow, so how to flow with, this is part of the water element. I, showered in a typhoon in Hong Kong. I've been bathing more, showering more. I've been getting in the water more. I got in the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, fully immersing self and noticing how important that is to fully immerse at times, because that is rejuvenation, it's renewal, it's baptism. And flowing with my own blood, had a blood cleansing recently, and flowing with it and noticing when there's been energy blockages, and then flowing with the output, whether it's the excess of urine, whether it's the waste products of poop, flowing with it, flowing with my breath, flowing with the saliva out, flowing with the drinks, flowing with the water, finding better and better quality water, and going to go play with that. So there's the flow piece. And then there is freedom, flow, health, wealth, family, freedom, flow, receiving. So that was a big part of the last week-long container that I created for two men. We went from mischief to surprise to delight to darkness to magic to pioneer to so many different things for intense, to chief, to I am, and then it landed on freedom, or not freedom, on receive, because there's a piece that even though I've told people before and I've noticed this, that I'm a master receiver, there's still sometimes blockages to receiving, and I can notice it in others more. I'm like, oh, I would love to gift this thing to you, but it's important for you to say yes, and noticing when it's a no. And then just noticing that, noticing my judgment of how can you say no to something that is completely being offered, and then realizing there's probably little undertones that they're seeing. And then for myself is getting better and better, just asking for the thing that's really important, being more and more clear what actually matters, and then being so open to receiving it. Can you help me with this? Thank you, yes. And then creating and curating the team around me who sees me, who knows me, who can see through and with my stuff, so that when they see the grimaces, the facial expressions, the parts of myself that I may not be ready to see myself, they can hold it lovingly, because part of it is just receiving the love for even the parts that I'm having trouble loving. And that's just the flow of spitting it out. And I'm going to pause this again for a second. Just making sure we're still good and we're recording, which we are, because sometimes it's hard to notice. And these microphones have been muted before, and that's so frustrating. So, receive. Receiving the love of my family, receiving the love of the cosmos. There's so much love, receiving the sunshine, and noticing that's just it. Whether it's sunglasses, sunscreen, really reflective clothing, how are we blocking the receiving of even the sunshine? Again, 1 second, wow. and more, I want to practice receiving, and I will create possibilities and see visions of the future, let it go, and receive what wants to come through. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the possibilities. Thank you for playing with. I'm going to do some writing now and change things up. Ciao for now.